Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevett, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Hey, welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway. I am Jason, and we are excited today, aren't we, Scott?
Heck yeah, we got a great guest for you guys.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. We got the great Dana back in this area. Dana, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we are blessed. We're
Welcome,
grateful
welcome.
to have you here. Dana,
Thank you.
let's start right off the bat. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, that's a wonderful question. If I feel that it's an ever-evolving answer, who am I and what do I do? I am a mental welfare coach, a hypnotist, a mom. I was a high school teacher for many years. I sold educational software around the world, and I'm ever evolving as a person. How's that?
Nice, nice. That seems to be
That's
a woman
awesome.
with many hats. I
Yes.
guess mother's the most important, though, correct?
Absolutely. It's it's interesting to me that if you are a good parent, your children flourish and leave. And so when you're good at your job, your clients leave. And it's sort of the same with hypnotherapy, isn't it? If you're good at your job, you help them work through what they need to work through, and off they go. So I seem to have chosen a life path where if I'm good at it, they leave. So
That's a good correlation.
Nice. Now, so is that your goal? Is that your goal to set when you're working with your clients to set them to go on their own and not come back anymore?
So obviously anyone is welcome to come back anytime. And I certainly have clients that do come back for refreshers, if you will. But I believe that we all have the answers that we're looking for. Sometimes we get in our own way. And sometimes you need somebody else to point out what is so obvious, that you can't see for yourself. So I just believe that my role in people's lives is to provide the support they need at that time to see how amazing they already are. Like I said, I was a high school teacher, and so I would have those kids for a year, maybe 2 years. Some cases I got to have them all 3 years. But then off they go. And so I just feel that helping people, if they can see themselves through the lens of someone else, that's an amazing perspective. Sometimes it's hard to see how amazing we are on our own. So yes, to answer your question, off you go. Here's a couple tools for you, and go flourish.
Just kind of like your high school students. You get
Yes,
them to graduate, you send them on their way.
that's
So
right.
let me ask you, when was that aha moment that you had when, like, you really wanted to help people, you really knew that you had it in you that you were going to help people? When did that come about, and how was that like?
To be honest with you, it's something I've always just sort of done. Even in elementary school, there was a girl that came to our school from another country, and she didn't speak the language, and she still sort of came to school in her traditional garb from her country. And I immediately was like, "Oh, cool," and helped basically integrate her into the States. And the other kids at our school were not so welcoming. And I feel like that was really the first time that I realized I could actually make a difference and help somebody make their journey a little easier. Obviously, she would have been fine without me in the end, but I sure think that was just made things a little easier. So I'd say it started very young, and I've never stopped seeking out baby birds, right?
So it's in your heart.
Yeah, it is.
That's, yeah,
It is.
nice.
I like to be very helpful when I can. That's I'm happiest when I'm helping.
And that was probably why you decided to become a high school teacher, huh?
Yeah, I had some couple teachers in high school that were really there for me. Those teenage years are rough. And sometimes you just don't feel seen by your own family, even if they try. I mean, I'm not saying my family didn't try, and some of them did. But I really had some teachers that were pivotal in supporting me at that time. And so I honestly always felt that teenagers were really my jam. And I work with a lot of teenagers now in my practice, and I love it. I love working with that age. It's that they think they know everything. They know everything. Everyone else is so dumb, and if they just let them do what they want, they could figure it out. But when you present information in a way that resonates with them, they do see, oh well, maybe there's a few suggestions I could take. you know
So
so
then
I love it. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. So I was going to say, let me guess. So you feel like a big teenager inside then, huh?
Yeah, I have the emotional maturity probably of about a 15-year-old. I still laugh at dumb, toilet jokes, all the dumb, just yes, yes. Easily amused.
So are the kids your niche?
So that's a great question. I think the word niche, and I think niching is a really fascinating thing. I understand it from a business standpoint that if you want to market yourself, hey, here's my specialty, this is my jam, and come to me if you're here. But when I look at my clientele that I'm actually working with, maybe not who I thought I might work with or I think I should work with, when I look at it, it's really across the board. Um, I resonate with teenagers and they like me. So I would say I do work with a lot, but I also work with, men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, women in their 20s. I mean, it just, I like you asked if I'm a teenager inside. I think most of us are still a teenager inside. We know in our industry parts work, and I think we all have that part that still remembers that feeling of being told what to do, but you think you know what's best, and that kind of rebellious, you know, you have a whole list of chores you need to do that day and you blow them off and instead you go see a movie or whatever else you do. I feel like that's that teenage part. So I would say maybe I am niching with teenagers, but it's of all ages.
Okay, nice. Nice. So now that we're doing this, now we got that. What modalities are you liking to use most? What do you practice? What do you lean towards?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. And I'm going to say what everyone says. It depends on the person, of course. But what I would say is I really like Carl Smith's emotional detox and kinetic shift. I do have my kinetic shift practitioner certification. I think that we are all carrying around trauma. As we know, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what isn't. So you could just be somebody who likes action movies or horror movies, or you read things like that, and it's embedding itself in you. So I'm saying whether you had a real trauma or you just have been exposed to a lot of dark stuff, like the news, if you watch the news, I think that stuff we're all carrying around a lot more than we realize. And so for me, when a client comes to me, depending on what the situation is, I almost always start with that. Because let's get rid of that stuff that's no longer serving you. And then we can see what's left. And then we know sort of what the problem is. One of my favorite clients that I had about 6 months ago, she was having some issues in a new relationship, and she felt that she was bringing stuff in from her childhood, and she was sure she had daddy issues. She had a whole story for me about it. And so then we did the detox. And what was fascinating was she came out of it and said, wow, all my issues were with my mom. I didn't have one single issue with my dad. And it was fascinating to her because she had been in and out of talk therapy throughout her life and had always talked about these dad issues. And so here she was spending her life thinking she had this one thing, and actually that's not what it was at all. So I just think it's fascinating to start with a process like a content-free detox, because you do release things and you see, oh, wow, that was really bothering. You see the things you knew were bothering you, right? But then you see the things that you didn't know. So that's my long-winded answer of.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about that for a second. Because when most people think about detox, they think about going to rehab. So tell us, what's this detox all about?
Yeah. So, there's different theories on emotions being trapped in the body. There's some that believe if it's trapped in your body, it manifests as an illness, or, we have all these expressions. Oh, that guy's a pain in my neck, or I'm bending over backwards for this person, right? We have all these expressions and beliefs that things can manifest in that manner. That's one school of thought. Another school of thought is the way our mind works, is that if you have your emotions versus your logic, emotions are always going to win. We know we've all had an argument with someone in our life, a friend, a family member, a spouse, and we've all a week later in the shower, oh, I should have said this, and you're driving, oh, I should, you're reliving it because it's still your emotions are beating the logic. You're not still in that fight in that moment. It's not logical to keep replaying it, but the emotions are still there. And so, the other way of thinking of it is that these emotions are trapped in your brain, and you do a detox to get rid of it. And so, the reason why I think it's so valuable is, I do believe that unless you consciously let go of some big pains you might have had in your life, it's going to affect you. I mean, why do we have triggers? Why do we have things that and that can be positive or negative, right? You hear a song on the radio and you're instantly taken back to a day on the beach with your friends and the sun on your skin, and it's vivid. It can be very positive, but also you can be served a food that, my mom made me eat every bite and I couldn't get up from the table until it was gone. And so emotions are a powerful thing, and they're very good, and nobody needs to get rid of them. But if we're carrying around things that are affecting us now, let's just let them go.
Nice. So detox. Now let's keep on that for a second.
Yes.
What's that like? I mean, you're not locking them in a room and letting them sweat it out, are you? I mean, how do we get this through and let them get this to let it go?
Yes.
I mean, that seems such a reach. How do you make that happen? What's the process like?
Yes. And so I will also direct everybody to check out Carl Smith's Academy, because he really has created an amazing process with that. The Hypnotic Masterminds is his program. But essentially, you're taking a person and helping them get themselves into a trance. As we know, you put yourself in a trance. The hypnotist is not doing it, you are. They go into a trance, and then you just walk them through a process of release. And, being in that trance makes it easier for your subconscious mind to let it go more quickly. I think that when we consciously try to let go of things, sometimes we think talking it through is letting it go. I just need to process this. I just need to get it out. We've all tried that, but then you find yourself 20 minutes later on the phone with the next person saying, can you believe it's not really gone, right? Because it's not logic, it's the emotion. So when you're in this trance, you talk them through this process to let it go.
Yeah, actually, talking about it over and over again might magnify it, correct?
That's exactly right. That's right. You think of a field of grass, and there's no pathway through it. And the first time you walk through the grass, to whatever that memory is or that feeling, the grass pops back up, no big deal. But if you keep walking in that same path, suddenly now it's really easy and faster to get there next time. So the more you go over things in your mind, you're getting to that trauma much more quickly. And again, that can be positive too. If you're thinking about a wonderful memory, that's a great use of creating that pathway in the grass. You want to get to that special memory faster. But if it's a negative one, it's not serving you well.
Wonderful. So you talked about Carl Smith, you talked about some of your teachers and stuff like that.
Yes.
Let's talk about your mentors. Who are your mentors and who's helped you be who you are today?
Well, I would say my biggest mentor was my grandmother. And she just had the it factor. She was gorgeous. She was smart. Everybody loved her. She was kind and she was tough. She's that generation that suck it up buttercup, like you don't really have a problem. Knock it off. And, that too much of that is not great, but on the day to day, we all do need to just suck it up. Right. So my grandmother was, wow, what a special lady. And I would say also some of those, teachers that I had throughout my life. I did read a book in high school that was fascinating to me. Are you guys familiar with Dan Millman and Way of the Peaceful Warrior?
Yes.
This book was out a while ago. I'm sure he's still around. I haven't looked him up since I was in high school, but it sort of is this philosophy of, don't over celebrate the victories. Don't, don't get torn down too much by the defeats, sort of a Buddhist philosophy, if you will, where you don't get too high, don't get too low, and stay true to yourself. And that had a huge impact on me, growing up.
Nice. Scott, any other questions?
Yes. So Dana, you've got a successful podcast and you've got a nice clientele going on with your business.
Yes.
What's next?
Well, this 2025 year is so exciting for me. I have moved to a new office space and the room itself is large enough to have groups. And I'm going to be doing teen groups. And the way I want to approach teen groups, I want to do this emotional mastery program to teach them boundaries and how their mind works and emotions and why they react the way they do. And so now I have this space that I can really do it there, large enough. And I want the kids to bring their friends. I don't want to just have a random teen group. I believe that unless a whole group evolves together, they're not really going to have that kind of lasting change that they might need at that age. So I'm kind of interested to see how that goes, peer pressure in a positive way. So teen groups, I've been wanting to do the school assembly for quite some time, and it's kind of around the same things of learning the inner circle, middle circle, outer circle of life so that you understand who you bring into the inner circle as a very small, tight-knit group for a reason, and just sort of teaching the concept. I feel that the only real mistakes I've made in my life, like proper mistakes, were bringing the wrong people in too far, right? They needed to stay middle circle or outer circle. And I feel like if you could learn that at a teenage age, that, party friends are fun, but they're party friends, right? And all of those different levels. So at school assembly and just really expanding my practice a little more and having fun. So 2025 is really, really an exciting year. I've had a lot of changes already. You can see my silly little tape here. I had a little pacemaker surgery a couple weeks ago, unexpected. And so now I think I'm AI, right? People are scared of the machines and the war. So I feel like, well, I'll put in a good word for all the humans since I'm now a cyborg.
That's true.
I think your heart just
That's
needed a little help because it's been doing a lot of work over the years. So,
Aren't you sweet? That's so sweet. Thank you.
so that said, let's talk about these teens for a second. So
Yes.
if you're dealing with teens and you're doing all this teamwork and you got this plan to do this work with the teens,
Yes.
then you must be very familiar with ADHD, bipolar, and maybe even drug addiction and things like that. The abandonment issues that go on with kids and all that. So there's a lot of heavy stuff dealing with kids, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And, the thing with kids, of course, is they are a product of their environment. I do believe we are born with a certain disposition. I think you're born where you're either sort of optimistic or pessimistic or just in general. But obviously the particulars can affect who you become, at least at that point in your life, what you're exposed to. And so the thing about working with teens is that even if they want to make these changes and evolve, if they're still in an environment where the parents aren't evolving or they're in a family structure situation, that's the big challenge. And so I think it's fascinating to teach people at a young age that you can only change yourself and you can only affect the way you view things. You can't change anyone around you. And I think that if you can learn that at a young age, like, okay, well, you live at home now still for a few more years, so make it work. That would be a wonderful skill in life when you're might be unhappy at your job or, other situations. All you can do is change yourself. So that's kind of the biggest challenge, in my opinion, of that age is sometimes the parents don't want to be involved. I have had some wonderful experiences where all three, it's the kid and the two parents and we're all working together. That's amazing. I love that. But that's not always the case. So you just pivot your message like, hey, this is how life works. You're never going to get everyone in the room that you need to change. They're not going to change. You need to decide what's right for you. Right.
Self-love, what's that all about?
Yeah. Self-love, you have to be able to love all parts of you, even the ugly ones. We are a product of what we have been exposed to, and we create these parts of ourselves to deal with different circumstances, right? I mean, the part of you that when your cat comes home, oh, come here, kitty, and you have that cute little voice, you're not going to take that when you go out to play basketball and be like, oh, hey, guys, let's play the basketball. It's a different part. We have all parts, but we all have the parts that come out when we're in stressful situations. And that part can be really hard to love. And if you don't love that part, it's not going to evolve. You're going to keep handling things the same way. And I believe that true personal growth comes from evolution. I think you need to keep expanding your options for yourself and keep making different choices and experiment, and so self-love to me is being able to stay with your bad choice you made and figure it out. Okay, well, I did that then. Beating yourself up over it. Sure, you can be, that's fine at the moment. Hey, you screwed that one up. That's fine. But now what? Now what are you going to do the next time? So to me, self-love is being able to be honest with yourself. Yeah, hey, that wasn't a great move I just did. But I still love myself. And so with every single client of any age, that is always part of my process is to examine the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's strengthen those good parts. Let's, keep evolving, make that part of your personality that you just love. Let's make it even easier to make those decisions. And the parts that you don't, if it's important to figure out why you did it, we can figure that out. Sometimes it really doesn't matter. Sometimes it matters more now what? Some people like to spend years figuring out well, I did this because of this, and then this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And that's okay too. I've helped many a person illuminate the reasons behind their choices and their actions. But I'm more focused on now what. So self-love to me is the blanket around the cold, it covers everything. So I spend a lot of time on strategies. I do tapping with people so that they have the homework of they can do tapping anytime they want. I do a lot of breathing techniques so that these are things that are so easy to access in the moment. I worked recently with a client with a pretty severe fear of flying. And so we went through some techniques of how, rather than just necessarily get rid of that fear in the moment, which we know there's so many techniques to make that disappear. But he wanted, it turned out that it really was more about anxiety about all these other things. And the fear of flying was the easiest way for him to understand that it was the loss of control, and that he felt scared in his life in any circumstance when he didn't feel in control. And that the fear of flying was the easy way for him to be able to say to people, oh yeah, I have a fear of flying. But really he had a fear of not feeling in control in his whole life. And if we had just gotten rid of the fear of flying, he might not have been able to have that insight, that it was larger. And so then we came in with some self-love. He really needed to love the part of him that felt scared when he wasn't in control. It's okay to be scared, but as long as you love if a little kid came up to you at the airport crying, saying, I can't find my mommy, are you going to be like, hey, shut up, kid, sit down, no, you're going to, comfort the kid and say, it's okay, we're going to figure it out, don't worry. And that's what we should be doing with ourselves.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so now I got another question for you. What's Hypnosis and Beyond all about?
Oh, our podcast is so fun. I don't have to tell you guys, all about it. I mean, the opportunity to speak to people about their passion and what they do is, wow, it's amazing. So I met Jen where I met the two of you at MMHA in the practice rooms. Thank you, Mr. Mike Mandel and Chris Thompson. Appreciate that. And we met in the practice rooms, and then we got to meet at HypnoThoughts. And once we met in person, we knew, yes, this is the person I want to explore this next step with. And so, there's so many podcasts, right? And so how are you going to be a little bit different? I mean, we're all getting the same guests, right? And so it's fun. So we have just a couple little silly things that we have a silly subconscious question that we ask everybody that we don't tell them in advance. And we ask them about their passions beyond whatever their topic is. And it's just really great to get to interact with people we really admire.
Yes.
I love
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. So how do our viewers that are watching this get a hold of you?
Well, my business is PepperTree Wellness, and I do have a website of that name, peppertreewellness.com. And our Hypnosis and Beyond, we're on YouTube and Spotify. Are you guys on YouTube and somewhere else?
It's Spotify, and then it's syndicated all over.
Oh, very cool. Okay, well, but yeah, I mean, I'm on all the social medias, but with my business, I'm kind of just doing YouTube and LinkedIn right now. Just feeling those out. The social media thing is kind of funny, isn't it, you guys? I don't know what your feelings are on it.
So let me ask you, what's PepperTree mean?
So in my backyard, I have a beautiful Brazilian pepper tree, and it was planted in 1950. It's huge. I could walk the laptop over there. If it's not too jarring, I'd be happy to show you. It is the most beautiful. the canopy is huge, and it provides this beautiful shade, but it drops leaves constantly. So it is also the biggest source of chores for me, and it is a pain in the neck to make. And we have to trim the branches constantly. The boys and I are out there doing it. And so to me, it's the perfect analogy for life, because it's a thing of beauty, really high maintenance. But if you do it right, it provides this calm, beautiful, space to be in. And it's deeply rooted in the earth. So my little slogan is deeply rooted in a healthy mindset. And I just love all of the beautiful metaphors that come from a tree.
It sounds like that you have a pretty deep spiritual relationship with your tree in your backyard.
I do. It's gorgeous. And it's also really annoying because it's constantly dropping leaves. So.
Nice. Scott, any other questions you want to throw out here?
Just the saying that I think that she gets rid of that on the tree which does not serve the tree anymore. That was another thing you can throw in there.
I like that. Nice.
Dana, thank you so much for coming on our podcast and sharing what you do and spending time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I so appreciate it. Can't wait to have you guys on our podcast.
Yeah, it's been great traveling down your magical psyche highway. But we're not through yet.
Okay.
We have a big question for you. What are your words of wisdom for our viewers?
I would say these days, in the last maybe 10 years, I've really gone about by living by might as well. I think might as well is a wonderful phrase to incorporate in your day-to-day life, because you might as well, right? You're already here. You've got the body, you've got the brains, you've got these resources, and you might as well try it. And what's the downside of trying? Failure is a part of life. When my oldest wanted to learn how to bodyboard, he got so mad when he wiped out. And I said, that's part of the sport. It's okay to get irritated by it. It's okay to be annoyed that you got water up your nose, you hit your head on the ground and all that stuff. But if you can't handle wiping out, it's not the sport for you. You can't get that angry. And I feel that life is the same way. If you get that angry over things, then you need to pivot. You're not on the right path. And if you are on the right path, then you might as well do it all. Might as well. So that's kind of my life philosophy.
It sounds like a good t-shirt. You might as well.
Right.
Nice. Well, Dana, it's been a pleasure traveling down your magical psyche highway. We've certainly enjoyed it. It's great. We're great to be here. And remember, for our viewers out there, you want to not only enjoy our podcast, but you want to go to her podcast too. It's Hypnosis and Beyond, and it's out there. And also, for our viewers, we're glad that you're here. We hope that you keep coming back. We hope you follow us, subscribe to us. If you like us, give us a thumbs up. If you think we're assholes, give us the thumbs down. We don't care. Just respond. Be here. Come back, and we hope to see you next week. Thanks for coming.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.